Goodnight, Mommy, Austrian film, came out in 2014. So fair warning, there's no way to talk about this movie and not give away the ending. So if you haven't seen it and you're gonna get super upset that we're gonna give it away, then just stop now and come back after you watch it.
Yeah.
So the story takes place and it's way out in the country, and there's these twin boys and they have basically just each other. They don't really have that much interaction, not even with their mom when she comes home. But I feel like the director had a really good way of showing their isolation, because there's like no sound. There's no soundtrack. There's no music almost all the way through.
Yeah, you're right. It's very quiet movie. And also that isolation aspect of actually where they live too. They're not in a neighborhood. They're out in the middle of nowhere. And it adds to that, kind of follows that sort of horror movie theme where there's that isolation and crazy things can happen without too many people noticing. For the first like quarter of the movie, you get the vibe that the mom, like something, it's just, there's something not right. I mean, obviously with the way she looks.
Right.
But the way she's treating her children, there's something wrong. And I think the first time that I was just like, oh no, I know for sure something's gonna go down, was when they find that cat.
Oh,
no. And I just knew, like, they go out and play and they find this, like, I guess a cave or something, and there's this cat.
I gotta stop you right there.
Yeah.
The cave. Why are there human skulls in the cave? They never
touch
address
on that. Yes, that's true.
Is this like a European thing where there's just like catacombs just tucked away in the countryside or in like cities somewhere, and just you guys
those
are
our
just accustomed
I guess.
to it? Yeah. Oh, those are our ancestors there in my backyard.
Yeah,
cool.
right.
So I got a lot of cues right away that Lucas was not really there. Going into this film, I thought that there was something much bigger going to happen with the mystery of the mom and like her new personality. I thought that was really going to drag out in some kind of mystical way, and it kind of didn't. It got very like realistic.
Yes.
And so she's in the kitchen and she pours like some juice or like mixes some Kool-Aid type drink for her kids. Well, kid. And she gives it to him. Lucas leans in, whispers in his ear.
Yeah, it's like kind of that voice in his head, yeah. And
then the kid's like, oh, he wants some too. And then all of a sudden the mom's like super mean. She's like, oh, well, he can't have any or whatever she says.
You know what he did or something.
Or he's like, and you know why. And she like storms off, and I'm like, why would a mom deliberately ignore her kid like that? And I thought, well, maybe he did something earlier we didn't learn about, and she's like punishing him.
Yeah.
And then the real kicker came when the kid was like, where's my mom? What'd you do with my mom? Or you're not my mom, or something like that. And then she makes him promise her that she's not gonna listen to his brother anymore or talk to his brother.
Yeah.
And I was like, who the fuck is this bitch telling him that he can't talk to his twin brother? Like,
that's really
that's
jacked up.
super sadistic, manipulative crap. And I'm like, oh yeah, fuck this bitch.
Yeah.
She's terrible. I hope these kids fucking do something.
Right.
And then it hits me. I'm like, no parent would say that.
Right.
I mean,
that's pretty sick. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so why would she?
And then
there it is.
Yep. And people will get it probably at different moments throughout the movie. That was kind of the spot I thought about it too. But what really threw me off about that part too is we were seeing the perspective, I believe, of Lucas, right?
Yeah, he was outside the door.
Because he was outside the door, and that was the shot that was being shown. We were only hearing her talking to Elias, I think his name, right? So I think that was an attempt for the filmmakers to like, no, we want you to still try to think that they're still twins. How about the part though where she's tied up to the bed? That was pretty brutal. The fact that he was clever enough to make that orchestrate all that too.
And strong enough. See, that's the thing that kills me is that he's like, what, 12?
12, something like that, yeah.
And there's only one of him, if you really think about it. And he quietly snuck into his mom's room and tied her up to the bed so efficiently that with all of her might, and when her survival skills kick in, she still can't pull herself out of the bed.
Yeah, that was, I questioned that too. I was like, how is that happening?
But it did occur to me that, so the older we get as adults, we start to be more sympathetic about like states of exhaustion. Like she's super stressed out. She's going through a divorce. She lost one of her kids, and she's watching her son, her living son, struggle with coping with his death. And she has to fight, all of her issues, and then help her son resolve his issues at the same time while still keeping a roof over their head and like moving forward with their life and stuff. So I think at some point this state of exhaustion could make sense that she just couldn't. She just didn't have the willpower or the energy to rip herself from those
And that
restraints.
makes sense, both physically and mentally exhausted, and everything. And she's, like you said, she's stressed out with the fact that her son is having trouble coping with this. Then you kind of, I don't know if she handled the whole thing as she probably should have, though. Even then, I mean, I understand it was a terrible, traumatic event, whatever happened, and she just didn't know how to handle it, so she uses that as she gets angry because maybe she can't control the fact that he's still can't cope with his brother being gone, and she has that in the form of anger, and that's when they really trick you too, when she's really angry and tells them they can't watch things on their phone or do things no talking at night or something, and it's all these strict rules, and I think she feels like that was in a way trying to help him, but.
Well, there was like a really quick moment too over the phone. She gets a phone call, she answers it, and then she quickly runs off. And it's she's saying something to somebody. She's like, "I can't do this anymore. I have to tell him, or break it to him, or get him to realize." And so it kind of alludes to that they might have been doing this for a really long time.
Right. Perhaps. Yeah.
And so when it's one thing to deal with this for like a month or 2 months after a death, but like if it's going on 3 to 6 months and it just won't resolve itself, I mean, who wouldn't be frustrated? Who wouldn't get angry? I mean, and she's one person. Like, we don't ever see the dad. We don't even hear him call.
No.
We never hear her have a conversation with him. Like, it's pretty intense what she's dealing with. It's almost like the babadook.
Yes, exactly.
I got a lot of babadook vibes.
Babadook. It really goes into that psychological aspect of humans and how we handle certain things and how it could be dangerous if we don't handle it the right way.
One of the big things about this film, which makes it doubly scary, is the fact that it's a real syndrome.
Yes.
It's real.
Upon doing some research online, yes, it's a real thing.
Capgras syndrome is a real thing, and it's somebody who earnestly believes that somebody that they know has been replaced by an imposter.
I think what it really added to the whole tragedy of it all as well is the fact that Elias, he was also at odds with himself too.
You're right.
Yeah, it was really sad because, like you said, there was this belief that was not their mom. That was not their mom. Give us back our mom. They kept saying that.
And there was so much love there for their mom that they wanted their real mom back, and they were fighting so hard to get her back, thinking she was in trouble or something, and all of that love for their mom is almost the reason why they have so much aggression towards the person they think is pretending to be their mom, who happens to actually be their mom. So like he has no idea that he's hurting the person he's trying to save.
Yeah.
And that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like, I found that to be one of the more heart-wrenching parts of the whole story.
I thought so too, yeah. I think there's symbolism galore in this movie, and you can interpret it in certain ways, but I think at the very end, you can all agree on one thing, and that's they have a pretty good twist that becomes a reality.
Yeah, it's a bit of a master storytelling technique to do the twist correctly, and the director absolutely did that with this film, and it was as a horror fan, I was gonna say it's an enjoyable experience, but only because as a horror fan, knowing that I'm watching a movie, it was an enjoyable experience as far as being that audience member and being a fan of the genre. So, if you haven't seen it, watch it. If you have seen it, share your thoughts with us. And that pretty much wraps up our reviews today. So thank you for joining us. And hey, listen, if there's something that you think we should watch and review, or something that you want to hear more about, let us know. Send it to guttedreviews@gmail.com, and you may just see it on a future episode.